What's up, YouTube? Today we're actually looking at Weezing, not Galarian Weezing, regular Kanto Weezing with its buffed move Rollout. It got the addition of Rollout this season, so we're taking a look at it in kind of an ABB style team. We're using Greninja on the lead, just because I think Greninja is actually going to be a really great core breaker this season, and I bet Amoonguss is going to be super excited about that. And then Amoonguss in the back. Obviously, both of the Pokemon in the back have coverage against Psychics, which they're both weak to, which is really nice. And then Greninja just as well against the grounds that Weezing doesn't want to see as well as the Psychics because it's dark. But yeah, let's just hop right into some battles. Okay, right away, Mighty Ina lead. This is a good lead because they should be on Sucker Punch now, and either way, they would have been on Ice Fang before, so it would have been resisted. That being said, they're Shadow. There's no way they don't shield Hydro, so I just bait with a Night Slash, fish for that potential buff there. They do go for the Poison Fang, and these Sucker Punches are actually doing so much damage, and I have a feeling they're just going to double shield, and if they do, I wait the turn and then switch into my Weezing to get the catch of the Poison Fang, which is huge. So that is massive because that also lets us sneak a Rollout through, and then that means we are able to outpace, get to the Sludge Bomb. That is enough to KO, and then unfortunately for me, they have a Claydol in the back, and I did not get to a Shadow Ball. It's a pretty poor misplay for me there, and then I don't get a fast move through. So this is not looking good. This Claydol is just going to run through my team, and then they come in with Weezing, so I kind of am stuck in this matchup. I think what I have to do is get off loads of Astonishes just so I can put it in Hydro range, because both of my moves are resisted. So I bank loads of energy, I come in with a Greninja, all I've got to do is make it to one more Water Shuriken to get to the Hydro, but unfortunately they overfarmed just the right amount. They're able to outpace. And even if I am going to be able to take out this Weezing with resisted charge moves, they're still going to have a really healthy Claydol in the back. And even though my attack is no longer debuffed, one move is not going to one-shot Claydol, even if it is super effective. But I think I'm going to get Mud Slap down before I even get one. I would have gotten to a Foul Play there, but a Foul Play wouldn't have KO'd, so... Unfortunate loss in the very first match. How can we adjust? All right, we've got another Sucker Punch user on the lead, and they're also staying in. So a lot of people bringing these dark Pokemon, being core broken by dark Pokemon that are using other types of fast and charge moves. So maybe not team building properly in response to having a dark Pokemon in the lead. I do bank a move. Just because I wanted to save that energy, and then they come in with the Grumpig, and this is where it's really nice to have that super effective Shadow Ball coverage, but unfortunately it just doesn't quite do enough. If we were the Shadow here, that probably would have KO'd with the rollouts, so unfortunately unable to flip switch there, but that is okay, because that just means we can get a full Water Shuriken farm down before they get to a move, and now we're coming out with loads of energy. I'd throw right away in case they came back in with their lead, but they don't, and they come in with a Fortress and they sneak an entire Volt Switch, which is pretty unfortunate. This time I'm able to go on good timing, make it to another Hydro, and at least grab a shield and save my Greninja just in case. And at this point, all of their moves, well, Rock Tomb's neutral, and so is Earthquake actually, so but their fast move is resisted, and then they snipe with the Spiritomb. I kind of have to shield this because my Greninja is so low, even though I know it is going to be that Rock Tomb. So many Rock Tombs coming at us, debuffing our attack. But fortunately for us, Spiritomb's pacing is still not great, and Grass Knot is enough from that range, and then a Foul Play from this range should be enough to KO the Fortress, and we're able to take that game. Yeah, honestly, the buffed... like the speed that Amoonguss gets to Foul Play now is really nice. Just consistent 4s. You don't have to go 5 on the first. Awful lead, by the way, in this match. So coming in with our Weezing, they come in with a Psycho Cut Medi, so we have Shadow Ball for coverage. But yeah, the new improved pacing on Foul Play is really great for Amoonguss, especially because Astonish is not like a super high energy move. But yeah, they only have non-stab Ice Punches here, and it looks like 2 aren't going to be enough to KO. And one Shadow Ball connected, so I will be able to just go to the Sludge Bomb here, and this should be able to either flip switch or grab a shield. And it is going to grab the shield. And I'm actually able to make it to another Sludge Bomb. Not throwing on the best timing there, but I just wanted to get this off before I get KO'd. And we're able to grab both shields, which is massive. And then I come in with Amoonguss. I do get my Astonish through, which is nice. This will be a super effective Ice Punch, but I can take one pretty comfortably. Amoonguss has some pretty decent bulk to it. And then what was on that lead again? It was the Jump Fluff. So yeah, they are going to come back in with that. What am I going to do? Am I going to shield this up, or am I... Okay, I am going to shield up the Aerial Ace. Kind of surprising just because one will not KO and they're not going to be able to Fairy Wind farm me down, but maybe just preserving health on my Amoonguss just in case, because they did come in with their Jump Bluff, so maybe they have another answer to the Greninja in the back. At this point, I'm going to have to probably switch into my Greninja, but I haven't even put them in Night Slash range yet. So yeah, staying in, getting off some more Astonishes, forcing them to throw their energy. And at this point, I just have to make it to a Night Slash before they can make it to an Energy Ball, and I am able to outpace, which is super clutch. This Night Slash should be enough to KO from this range. Yeah, Jump Off is bulky, but, you know, Greninja just has that speed to it. And they come in with a Blastoise in the back. This is a pretty okay matchup because they have to farm up to Skull Bash if they want to do, like, if they want to go for the one-hit KO. They're probably more than likely to bait a Hydro here, but I still have to respect it. And yep, they bait the Hydro. Not surprising. We even overfarm, able to get to the Night Slash. This will be more than enough to KO from this range, and we're able to take that win. So saving that shield for Greninja, coming in clutch there in the end game. Okay, Charjabug. This is a pretty bad lead, so probably going to get into our Weezing. Obviously, Discharge is neutral, so they are going to chip first. But we got some very nice chip with our rollouts as well. And they actually go for an X-Scissor, which is kind of surprising. And then they come in with Lapras. My recommendation to my opponent is do not chip with a resisted move and then get into a very easily won matchup out. This wouldn't be a close matchup in the evens with their super effective fast move. And they throw when I wasn't going to make to another move, so my opponent giving me all the possible win cons in this matchup, which is pretty nice. Maybe just not knowing the new, maybe not knowing Weezing's pacing, which is completely understandable. Obviously, Psywave is resisted here, Sparkling Aria is resisted, but I will respect a potential Skull Bash. And they do just go Sparkling Aria, which is pretty unfortunate. I can overfarm a little bit, go for the Night Slash. This should be enough to KO. And unfortunately, not quite, but that Water Shower kind of does. And then they're going to come back in with the Charjabug. We're going to eat these electric fast moves on the Amoonguss. And then this X-Scissor, it's neutral, it's not going to do too much damage. And then they're staying in, so potentially weak to something weak to, or potentially weak to either Grass in the back, and that's exactly what it is. They have a Blastoise in the back. And once again, they have to farm up to either an Ice Beam or a Hydro. They're not even going to make it to a move before they get KO'd. And yeah, my opponent realizes they no longer have a win con, and they resign the match. Into the next match, we have a Gligar. Okay, this is a good lead. They could be on Fury Cutter. Oh, they're actually on Wing Attack, which is kind of surprising. I'm going for the Night Slash bait here because they're pretty likely to shield this. And they actually call the bait, so that's a pretty nice call by my opponent. And then they try and catch a second Night Slash onto their Carbink. Fortunately, I held on to my energy. And at this point, I have loads of energy, and I can just chip with the Hydro and then come in with Amoonguss. Because this is a pretty dominant matchup. They will be able to get off a neutral Power Gem here, but it looks like one is not enough to KO. And I'm just going to go for the Grass Knot before they're able to make it to a second move. Maintaining switch. And we have loads of energy on the Greninja, so we are more than comfortable letting this go. Night Slash actually still doesn't KO. And with that new pacing, we're able to make it to a foul play. So that is really nice. This will either take out or grab a shield, and it grabs the shield. I'm going to come in and go for the Hydro right away. And I expected my opponent to catch, which is why I went for the Night Slash. And that actually worked out really nicely because they have a Meganium in the back. Meganium can learn Earthquake, so I will respect it. But I do throw the Sludge Bomb on CMP, so if they want to get it off, they're going to have to shield, and they do. So I'm guessing that this is more than likely an Earthquake, and it is, so getting that shield call correct. And now we can overfarm because one Frenzy, which it looks like they're just settling for a Frenzy now, I can take very comfortably on Weezing, maybe not super comfortably, and then they snipe, but I am at 100 energy, so at this point I can just shield up. They're not a back-to-back move, so I can just click the move. Shadow Ball will be enough to KO from this range, and then I should have a Sludge Bomb loaded, or not quite loaded, but one rollout away. So you can't, I think you can store 2 Sludge Bombs, but you can't store a Shadow Ball plus a Sludge Bomb, so I mean, the rollout new energy generation is nice, but you know, I don't know. I just don't think I can. I don't think I have it in me to recommend building this Pokemon and using it because it's not great. It was hard to get wins with. Like I had to play pretty well, and I just don't think it has the potential that some other poison types might have. So I have yet to find its niche. There may be a meta later in the season, like a limited meta that it can shine in, but that's not quite there yet. Either way, we have a Skarmory in the next match. Unfortunately, they're not on Steel Wing. They are on Air Slash, which means their fast move is neutral, and then they snipe with a Magnezone, which is pretty unfortunate. But we have a nice response here on Amoonguss. Wild Charge is resisted, so I can let this go. It'll do some decent chip, but it will not KO. And then they just go for a Mirror Shot, and then they have a Talonflame in the back, so we have perfect alignment. You saw me clicking the move there. I don't know why it threw an extra Astonish, but that does let them get to a few extra moves there, or like a whole extra Incinerate, which is pretty unfortunate because we end up taking that on our Amoonguss. But able to get the Sludge Bomb off, and they throw it away just to get the KO. But at this point, I think we have a Foul Play loaded. So even though that is KO, we can actually go for 1 in the move, and that means we will not take the damage because that's 3 turns versus 4 is when it would register. And then they have the Magnezone, so I'm going to let them throw that Wild Charge first because it's not going to KO from this range, and I want them to debuff their defense, and they do just that for me. So now Foul Play from this range plus the Astonish will be enough to KO the Magnezone from a half HP, and we're able to take that game. Alright, into the next match, we've got Medicham on the lead. So we're going to check the fast move. Most are on Psycho Cut, but this one's actually on counter. Kind of surprising. We come in with the Weezing, and we're getting absolutely hard countered here. This is a blast from the past. My opponent running Medicham and Galarian Stunfisk, which is kind of shocking. And they do farm up perfectly right before I get to the next Shadow Ball. It looks like 2 Shadow Balls wouldn't even KO, so I kind of just have to let that go. And then come in with my Greninja, and unfortunately I get 1 turn lag there, but I still get my fast move through, which is pretty nice. They do bait with a Rock Slide, and then I just go for the Night Slash. I think this is because I don't want this to KO. I want to get a Water Shuriken farm down, and yeah, that's going to put it in perfect farm down range, which is great. And then they have that Medi. I am willing to take 2 counters just to get this Hydra off, just because I think this is valuable chip damage or shield, which is nice. And then we have a fantastic matchup here. Even though Ice Punch is super effective, it's not that threatening, so we can just let this go. And they're not going to be able to counter farm me down, and they're staying in this matchup. So now I'm going to shield because I want to see what is that Pokemon in the back that is core broken by the Amoonguss. And are they going to let this go, or are they going to burn their last shield is the question. They do let it go, and they give us the Astonished farm down, which is really nice. And it's a Lantern in the back, so Amoonguss core breaking my opponent. Yeah, they are using a super old meta team, but unfortunately, I'm at a point where they're going to outpace. So I catch the Surf under my Greninja, which is huge. Unfortunately, unable to get the CMP sack swap, which would have been absolutely massive, because if we got that Night Slash off, it would have been huge because it would have made that Grass Knot KO. And unfortunately, my opponent also gets damage registration error, which means they get off their move when they shouldn't have due to a game inconsistency, and they win off of that, which is, that's rough after making a catch like that. But anyways, into the next match, we've got a brand new buffed Roserade. This is the first one I've seen of these. It has Poison Sting now, so it can get to Weather Ball in 4. But look at how glassy that thing is. And then I go for a Leaf Storm catch onto my Weezing, but they did just end up baiting with the weather ball, which is pretty unfortunate. But then they come in with a Feraligatr, and because I got one rollout through before, that means I am able to outpace. But unfortunately, they are still going to be able to get the farm down before I can make it, or they would be able to eventually outpace. So there's no point in me trying to flip switch there. They threw away their energy. This can only be a Hydro, so I will just let this go. I mean, it could be a Crunch, I guess, but if my opponent's on Ice Beam, yeah, it's just a Hydro. And then they come back in with a Roserade. They do have enough for a Weather Ball Fire, so I will respect that. And it looks like I'm just not able to get the farm down, so I am forced to throw before they get to the next move. And they shield, so I go for the catch, and my opponent waits the turn to make sure they do not throw a resisted move, which is a really nice play by my opponent. I get the boost with the Night Slash, which is huge, because I think this was also CMP, so they're forced to shield that up. And at this point, I kind of just have to let this go. I need the shield for the Weather Ball Fire, and they are going to also get the full farm down, which is super unfortunate. But they don't even farm up. This is only a Hydro. I can live that from this range. So that is massive. I mean, look at that. That Amoonguss eats those for breakfast. I mean, those Hydros are fucking filthy. Either way, able to get to the Grass Knot. They get Astonished farm down because they're not at back-to-back moves. They only had one loaded. So we're able to take that win. Okay, Greninja on the lead in the next match. Mandibuzz, and apparently my opponent forgot that Greninja exists, and they must have been core broken by it, and they resigned the match. So into the final match of the video, terrible lead. We've got a Machamp, and they're staying in. This could be a Rock Slide potentially, but it's not enough for a Stone Edge, so I will let that go. And unfortunately, my opponent is running Rock Slide, which is pretty annoying. But they are staying in this matchup, which is kind of surprising. Not having an answer to a Poison when you are a fighter is pretty shocking, but they don't even farm up to another Rock Slide. Yeah, so I just let that go. And then they're also not able to get the Karate Chop farm down. So Weezing's bulk kind of coming in clutch in this last match. And we're able to grab both shields. And the switch timer is up at this point, so I can just come in with my Amoonguss. I do get one turn lag when I bring my Pokemon in, which is super nice. They do get off the Rock Slide, and then it's Mandibuzz in the back. And you're going to see why my opponent in the last match shouldn't have just resigned, because even though Snarl is resisted, Aerial Aces do almost 50%, and even though my Hydros hit way harder, Greninja's just also way glassier. So it looks like it's going to take more than 2 Hydros to KO. I mean, that has put it at about 50%, but that's because we had that initial chip damage with the other Water Shurikens and the Astonishes. So unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to burn a second shield here. Actually, no, I think I can just let this go. No, I'm opting to shield. That's kind of interesting because, and then I'm sniping with the Amoonguss, and then they come back with the Machamp. Foul Play is resisted, but it will chip them and put them probably at 1 HP. Yeah, it puts them in Astonished farm down range, which is honestly better. We get a little bit of an energy lead, and then it's Drifblim in the back. So here's the pacing. Also coming in clutch in this matchup, just that straight 4 pacing is super nice. Able to get to the Foul Play. And it looks like my opponent's still on Astonished, so they're also unable to get to a move. And they knew they needed to come out with a move loaded. So we're able to take that win. So yeah, I mean, obviously I did make Weezing work, especially I think the Weezing plus Greninja core is solid, don't get me wrong. I think the Greninja plus Amoonguss core is even better, as you saw just kind of in like those matchups at the beginning of the video. That core is really strong, and maybe you'll see that later in the season just because they are 2 kind of core breakers for the current meta that I'm seeing, and it's kind of a nice refresher to see that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That is regular Kanto Weezing with Rollout. My recommendation, to be completely honest, is don't build it unless you have excess Stardust and excess candies like I did and just wanted to show it off. So yeah, I mean, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace.